I was discussing with someone yesterday, and she said every woman should get a holiday for each time they are on their period. How true is that? Hi, everyone, and welcome to HealthWise Show. My name is Uche Namadi, and I'll be your host. Today, we are discussing about menstrual issues in women's life, and I'm not going to be doing this alone. I have Dr. Lani Yoweye, who, as usual, will come from the medical angle, and Patsy, your everyday Nigerian babe, who just wants to know what is going on. Please do not forget to like, subscribe, share, and follow SYNLAB Nigeria on YouTube and on Spotify. Right about now, we have a story we want to share, and Patsy will be doing the honors of reading that story while we get to it.
Okay. So we have a story from somebody here, and it says, for years, I lived with a kind of pain that words can't quite explain. It wasn't just menstrual cramps, it was the kind of pain that makes you shake, cry, and lose your breath. Sometimes it came before my period, sometimes during, and sometimes it just showed up out of nowhere like an unwelcome guest. Every time I complained, the response was the same. It's normal. Every woman goes through it, or you'll be fine after marriage. I believed them, or at least I tried to. But deep down, I knew something wasn't right. One particular day, the pain got really unbearable. I was doubled over, unable to move, sweating and crying uncontrollably. I was rushed to the hospital, and the doctors ran a scan. The results said it was a simple left ovarian cyst.
Simple. How can ovarian cyst be
Be
simple,
simple.
please?
That's the classification.
A few days
Wow.
later, another scan was suggested to be sure the pain wasn't just on the left. Then we got another result that said it was a complex right ovarian cyst. It has moved from left to right.
And it's
It
no
was
longer simple,
confusing.
it's complex. No.
Okay, now. Even the doctors weren't sure what to
It's
believe
not
and booked me
English.
for a surgery immediately.
Wow.
As the pain became worse, they became scared that whatever it was might rupture. They decided to go in for an exploratory laparotomy. I got that right?
Yeah, you did.
They basically opened me up to find out what was happening inside. I remember lying on that hospital bed, feigning strength, but I was so scared. I was trying to stay calm while my dad signed the consent form. I was terrified, but also I couldn't wait to find out what the true cause of my pain was. When I woke up after the surgery, the doctor came to my bedside and was cheerful. He asked how I was feeling, but I guess my desperation for answers overshadowed the sore feeling of the first surgery. It was then he told me they have removed the growth causing the pain. He ordered a histology test to confirm the cause, and we discovered that it was endometriosis.
Wow.
For a moment, I was just there, silent. After years of not knowing, of being dismissed and misdiagnosed, my pain finally had a name. The road since then hasn't been easy. I went through recovery, treatment, lifestyle adjustments, and even carried the fear that I might never be able to conceive. But for the first time, I felt seen. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't exaggerating. My body was fighting a real battle, one I didn't choose, but one I now understand. And that's the story.
See, there is a lot to unpack here.
A lot.
Let me talk like my boss, unpack 10 things in 2 minutes. Because let me even, okay, this might sound a bit trivial, but the dad had to sign the consent for
form.
She didn't say her age, right?
No, she didn't.
That's just for another day. But let's even start by understanding what this
Endometriosis.
endometriosis. What is endometriosis? So that we can even carry our listeners along.
Basically, is when you have
No jargons, please.
when you
Simple.
have a part of your uterine tissues, located in another part of the body. What belongs to the uterus, I'm breaking it down, should stay in the uterus. The uterus has 3 layers. The inner lining is what is called endometrium. The middle lining is called the myometrium. The outer lining is the what is that one? I think I forgot. Is the
Something
is the
metrium. I'm just pretty
is
sure
the
that's
peritoneal covering. Or something, I'm forgetting about that though. So it's the outer lining, that reflects onto the peritoneum. It's on the, that's the outer lining. So basically now that's not even where I'm going. So the inner lining of the uterus, that's the endometrial lining. That's the inner part. That is the part that is shed during menses, that you see. So that tissue is located outside the womb.
But it's supposed to be inside.
So it can be located anywhere.
What causes this?
For that
For
to
it to
happen.
leave
Yes.
where
Where it's
original
supposed to
position
be.
to go to another place.
Well, it's like an abnormal growth could be hormonal. Hormonal issues can actually, cause,
Triggered.
that to happen. And, basically what happens is that this tissue can be anywhere. It can be in the lungs, it can be in
For
the
real?
abdomen, it can be in the ovaries.
So when they say endometriosis, it means that this tissue is just going anywhere.
Yeah,
it
so
deems
whatever
fit.
is happening so that means it's also subjected to all the hormones that actually control that act on the uterus.
Okay.
The estrogen, the progesterone, everything. So anytime a woman is undergoing menstruation, the same thing happens. So that's why during the time when they are menstruating also, they
that
experience
extreme
pain
pain.
in that part of the body. And I've actually seen a case where during that woman's menstrual period, she actually coughs out blood. Yeah.
So what was it in her lungs?
Ha.
It was in her lungs. Wow.
So
Okay, so I have a
basically-
question. Does this happen, like, can it just up and happen at any given point in time? Like, a
Are
woman
people
can
born
just
like
have
that?
endometriosis at any
I
point?
think it's hormonal.
So it
you know,
means you
driven.
can
Yeah.
not have endometriosis, then endometriosis would develop.
What do you say?
Like, you could have had a normal life, normal circle. Your endometrium is where it's supposed to be. Then boom, the hormones decide to hormone,
Yeah.
and then they will just grow somewhere else.
Yeah.
So it means that as you are a woman like this,
We're
like you're
prone
not
to
safe. Do you
So wait. You're
It's
talking
a
far.
woman thing.
So like me like this now, I can have it.
you won't have it in Jesus' name.
Oh,
The Nigerian
no.
in me just has to step up.
So then, of course, I also feel that
Wow.
it could be iatrogen. Oh, sorry, that's a big word. Like maybe you have a procedure, maybe someone that's had a procedure, uterine procedure, where during the procedure that tissue is introduced,
Somewhere else.
during that surgical procedure, you can actually also, that's what I mean by iatrogenic, like from medical procedures, you can actually have it being introduced to other parts of the body. It's just basically that endometrial lining going elsewhere to stay and kind of like implanting there. So it usually comes with a lot of pain, and then there could be some bleeding issues sometimes with it. And then, of course, a whole lot of times you may have to do, sometimes, they may have to do surgery, to
Sometimes,
actually,
so it can be treated without surgery.
I think so.
So,
Some hormonal stuff.
My question, here's a question. If your endometrial lining is supposed to shed when you have your period, right? Why doesn't it shed from the strange places where it is? Or is it only in the womb that it will just shed?
Well, during menstruation,
During
during menstruation, you do not shed the whole of your endometrium. It is not the whole of your endometrium that sheds because the endometrium is actually important for implantation of, the baby. Like they would say, menstruation just means the weeping of a disappointed womb.
Yes. So why isn't she weeping fully?
Weeping
You
of
do
a
not
disappointed
shed
womb.
Everything. So some of it is left.
Yeah. So you
Okay.
do not shed.
So I think my next question will be, because this endometriosis, it seems a bit more rampant than one would think, right?
Yeah.
In recent times, at least in my own circle of the world, I feel like more women are coming forth to say that they discovered they were having this thing. And I don't know if that is just an advent of medicine where we're becoming more knowledgeable of things, or is it a thing that is still on the fringes? Like, how common is it?
I don't really think it's on the fringes. You've actually answered the question. I think now that we are able to do more things, we are more knowledgeable, and then we can actually do better investigations, and we're beginning to discover a whole lot more of these things. I'm very sure it's something that has been there. It's just now that there is an increasing awareness, about it. So basically, I could remember I was speaking with someone, I'm not a gynecologist, but I remember I was speaking with someone maybe 2 weeks ago, and then I think I used the term, there's this entity then in medical school, they would tell us maybe dysfunctional uterine bleeding. I was speaking with someone, and then the person said, no, that's not the term that they use now.
No, the terms have changed.
Yeah, the time I said maybe abnormal uterine bleeding, or maybe, I don't know the time. I can't remember exactly what the person said now. So what I'm trying to say is knowledge has increased now, and now you have a lot more awareness about it. People are more aware because we are detecting it more and more. Now, if you look at the story that was read, initially it was thought to be an ovarian cyst, which can also present with pains and stuff like that. So you have a whole lot of all these gynecological problems having some very non-specific symptoms. Of course, with the endometriosis, you would know, that all those symptoms would be kind of like intensified during the menstrual period and things like that. So initially, it was thought to be a cyst. You understand? And when an histology was done, sorry, let me break that down. Like when you take the sample.
I like how I'm checkmating you.
So during surgery, when the sample is taken out, you're taken it to the lab for analysis.
Okay.
So, and then the tissue will be examined. After the examination of the tissue, that's when you can actually say, okay, this is what it is. So, and, at surface level, they were not really able to diagnose until it was taken out and then the tissue was examined. And then you can say that, okay, this is an endometrial tissue. So what's an endometrial tissue doing in the ovary? You understand? So basically, that's where we're beginning to.
So before we even get to the histological test that was done, the ovarian cyst and all that, this lady or this girl was having painful menstruation.
That was going to be my next question.
That is the challenge for me, because why will normal painful menstruation that people take painkillers for just escalate to all these other things?
With the plurality of knowledge we're having today, something that I've been seeing, like, what is that pain? There's this new wave that's coming up, and people are saying like pain in menstruation is abnormal. And if you're feeling pain, if you're feeling discomfort, means that something is wrong. Do you get? So my question is, like, should there be pain during like your menstrual cycle? That's one. And two, how much pain should there be? If there should be.
Okay. If my knowledge could serve me very well, there should be a deal of a little bit of cramps. It's called the menstrual cramps. Of course, you have a shedding of a part of the lining of the endometrium, and of course that comes with it's called the cramps. You understand? So there's a little bit of cramps that women actually are supposed to experience during menses. But obviously, as you said, there is you're not supposed to be experiencing severe menstrual cramps.
People do.
People,
a lot of people do. And that's why I said, somebody actually said it should be a holiday for any lady who works and is currently in her period, because the pain. I know people that combine ibuprofen.
I know people that take injections.
That's and I think at that point, that's the point where you need to discuss with your gynecologist.
But these things are, to us, is normal.
We're living with it.
Yeah, because
like they told her, this after marriage it will end.
No. The reason why I'm saying this is because now let's digress a little bit to something more common: uterine fibroids.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a lot more common than endometriosis, where one of the presentations will be severe menstrual cramps with heavy menstrual flow.
They'll just tell you your own is much.
Yeah,
like,
and
sorry.
Yeah.
In when it becomes a bit more advanced, that's when you begin to have the abdominal swelling. Not all patients who have uterine fibroids have abdominal swelling. When they're beginning to have abdominal swelling, then it's really getting really, really serious. But of course, the commonest thing you will get is severe menstrual cramps and heavy menstrual flow. We tend to normalize a whole lot of things that
we've normalized pain.
Some things severe menstrual cramps in during menstruation is something that you should have checked out. You understand? You should have, because these are part of just of women health. Because ideally, you're supposed to have a measure of cramps, but it's not supposed to be severe. You know, for people to be taking injections, taking very strong analgesics, that means that the pain is severe and it's debilitating. That's what it means. And of course, any debilitating pain is not good. Like I said, you know, a while back, that pain is good. It helps you to know where the problem is. You know, that's the irony. So when you have severe menstrual cramps and there's a problem, you know, especially during menses, sometimes there's a problem, you know, around your womb, then you should have it checked out. So these are some of the things that I feel we should, you know,
basically see your doctor.
I think we need to actually be loud
about this, because
that
again,
extreme pain is not normal. These are things that ladies even used to talk, and you might even use it as a chip on your shoulder, like me, I used to suffer like my own
Patsy, and then again he said you are allowed to have cramps but not very severe. So now mine is your threshold for pain
might be different.
Exactly.
So on a scale of 0 to 10,
how are you even grading?
How are you?
You know, because
how?
Okay, no,
I don't understand, because
for me, pain is like this. Mild pain would be, you just know that, oh, you have some discomfort here, but it does not affect anything. You can still go about doing your normal stuff.
But that one that you now bend over on your bed,
but when you now begin to have pain, and then the only thing you think about is, oh Lord, take this pain away from me.
Oh, wow.
That's severe. It's debilitating. You can't get to do your normal daily routines.
And there are lots of ladies
there are lots of people, you know, actually go. And then I could remember then they would, you know, when you have menstrual cramps, they just give you some mild analgesics, and it's supposed to go maybe like in 3 days, 4 days. I mean, you know, because by the time you most people would have their menses for like 3 to 5 days. But like the third, fourth day, the pain should have, you know, be gone already. So these are some of the things. But for some people, you know, when it now becomes something that is very severe, it becomes persistent, and then you have menstrual cramps that then you're having cramps that is a little bit more longer than, you know, it should be. You're having it for up to a week, you know, it's still there. Then at such point, I think you should, you know, have a discussion with your gynecologist about it, or especially also when you have heavy menstrual flow. I think
I was about to ask about the bleeding.
Now, again, I was going to say this. I would always tell people that you are the best doctor for yourself. I mean, every woman should understand her body.
Yeah, but here's the thing about every woman.
I was going to say this that if, like, at puberty or when your menses became established, you do 3 days of active bleeding, and then you have to know the number of pads you use per day. Like, okay, for you use like, say, 2 to 3 pads per day, and you bleed actively for 2 to 3 days, and that's your normal. That's your own normal. Now you just find out that you're beginning to use more pads, heavily soaked pads, and you're beginning to bleed for longer. That is significant. So I think every woman should understand these things, and then should know. Some people say, oh, my normal whatever is for me to bleed heavy. I bleed for 1 week, and for that 1 week I'm using like 5 pads or something. Wow. I still think those kind of people should have a discussion with their gynecologist, because we know that, okay, normal menses for like 3 to 5 days, and then you bleed actively for just like 2 to 3, you know, out of the 5, and then the other times it will just be spotting. And so women, you should know that, okay, these are the number of pads. Day 1 to 3, when I'm actively bleeding, I use 3, 4 pads. Then the other 2 days I use just 1 or 2. But when you're beginning to use an increasing, you know, number of pads,
okay, but
tell us that these are some of the objective ways
to know. But as a woman, they will tell you that your body changes up and down throughout your lifetime. Do you understand? So like, it's like, okay, even if my period should have this change, it might be told to you like, oh, it's normal. Do you understand? Women change. Your period has changed, and
let that discussion come from a gynecologist.
Yes, I was about to say that. Not just
there's a whole lot of random things. You know, there's a whole lot of. I did see earlier on that I'm not a gynecologist, but I understand some of these things because I have discussions with people, and I've seen patients, and I get to discuss. And even during my medical school training, we have, you know, this. So these are some of the objective ways, and I think a lot of people don't pay attention to their bodies, so they don't even know that they're having heavy menstrual flow. They don't because they don't pay attention to their cycle. It just comes, it just goes. Well, it may be very difficult if you have irregular. You know, some people have irregular, but then, I mean, some irregular cycles. But even if you have irregular, you will bleed, and you know the number of. So when you're beginning to have a shift from your normal, from your own normal, then I think you should, or from what the normal should be, you should have a discussion.
Dr. Where are you a
with the
lecturer?
gynecologist.
Because you have just successfully lectured us now. We can now graduate as doctors.
No,
Abi.
I
Frankly,
didn't
See,
do that.
let's digress a bit.
I
I want to
didn't do
talk
that.
about myths and facts.
Okay.
So we'll just digress a bit. Just talk about the menstrual flow itself. So my number one myth versus facts would be, as a lady, when you're on your period, run away from Coke, run away from Fanta, all those soft drinks. That it makes the bleeding heavy or sugary stuff.
And it makes the pain worse. So
And it makes the pain worse. So, my lord.
help us.
You know, I was looking at you.
I have more. In fact, let me lay them all. But if you have to, you can join. Then the one of, don't worry, once you marry, the pay will go. I
Or
feel
once
like
you
yes.
have children.
I feel like yes, to an extent. Because now,
They tell us that once you have
sis,
children.
I just go to the restroom and it's there. I don't, no sign, no warning. So you just have to set your alarm. Yeah. So, but we're coming to the other one. There is another myth, but let's.
Okay, fine. Well,
analyze upon
I
that.
know that myth. I've heard it a whole lot of times.
The
I've even
sugar
had
one.
friends who would say that. But honestly, maybe it's me that I've not read up to that extent, but I've not seen any scientific backing. I've not read it anywhere where they would link glucose to every bleeding or whatever it is.
Then
The only thing I can
ice cream.
The only thing I can probably, once your insulin is working very fine, I don't really think there should be any. The only thing I can actually link, I mean, from the cause of disease, from pathology point, is basically when you have too much glucose in your blood, it can affect your blood vessels, maybe the integrity and all that. And of course, that happens when your insulin is not working properly. Because normally insulin controls sugar. So you should not actually have too much sugar in your. So if you are not diabetic or you don't have any disease condition that affects the integrity of the endothelium, like uncontrolled hypertension, like hypercholesterolemia, like too much cholesterol in your blood, like diabetes, then, I mean, that's the only thing I can think about. If you don't have all that, there is no scientific backing for that particular myth.
Javin, okay.
Yeah. Then again, for menses, largely we know scientifically is controlled by balance of hormones, your estrogen, your progesterone, and of course, the hormones actually changes as a woman. Like for example, maybe the reason why they talk about pregnant woman is, I mean, a pregnant woman, like I said, menses is weeping of a disappointed womb. So, I mean, when you're pregnant. I mean, when you marry and then get pregnant.
And the womb is not disappointed.
So you're not carry a baby, so you're not going to menstruate. I'm just saying
Okay,
actually.
now, but
when you're
come
done
back to it.
Now,
And
I think a married woman, a pregnant woman goes through another hormonal changes, For the hormonal, the hormones that actually control menses, there are certain hormones that actually control, menses when it occurs and how it occurs. Now, there's a particular hormone again that takes over during pregnancy and that actually prevents menses from occurring. And that hormone actually allows the baby to grow and to be carried to term. And before the woman's body resets back to the normal, it takes a few months, especially once she's breastfeeding. So these are some of the hormonal changes that a woman, goes through. You understand? All through, and a woman in a reproductive age group that is, having babies and all that. So they go through all these changes. So they have a lot of hormonal changes. When you are unmarried or when you're not actively reproducing, it's just basically menses, your hormones are basically for menses and all that. But when you get pregnant and you're lactating, you have an interplay of hormones and then it controls a whole lot of stuff. That's why a woman body goes through a lot of changes, during that period.
This is so small life.
Definitely, I'm sure.
Yeah. Hey!
So it has a lot of effect, on that. Of course, again, that after a while, a woman also becomes menopausal, premenopausal, and all that. So
another new one.
Don't even go there because the one I learned.
I know that there's an interplay of hormones. That a woman is on that influences a woman's reproductive system. And her body all through her life. So there's an interplay of that. So of course, definitely these things will also have effects on, menstrual cycles, and things like
Patsy
that.
wanted to say
So,
something.
No, I was just going to ask about, like, because of how it seems like there's a line. It might not even be thin the way you're explaining it, between what is like your normal flow and what is abnormal, what is normal pain and what is abnormal. But like the story we read about this person, which is a true story, is something that a lot of women go through, where she had been dismissed like severally because, and it's because we see that, we hear that pain is normal for you. Some people have heavy flow, some people have light flow. You understand? So there are a lot of ladies that don't find out that maybe they have polycystic ovarian syndrome or endometriosis until later in life, much later. Then there's the other aspect of them telling you, like, even if you have this issue, they would tell you, let's delay treatment until you, so that it doesn't risk you not being able to have a child. Just manage until you give birth, and you might be dying.
Well, I think my own take on this is this. Now, I said something. I said pain is good. It helps you to know where the problem is. So that's my own approach to pain. When there's a pain, there's a problem somewhere. You understand? And it's my duty to be able to. I'm trained to determine the severity of pain. So to know when to act, because you have action lines when it comes to pain. You understand? And that's why I said your body is your own. So even if you have light flow, once there's a change in it, you will know, no matter what. And you should bring it to the attention, of your gynecologist. Now, as to the dismissal of the pain. Well, as I would say, we doctors have our own thing and we have our own ethics of practice. I'm sure anyone who has ever visited a gynecologist about these things would be properly evaluated about it. And the line of action that would actually be taken would basically be based on that particular patient, what that patient is presenting with. But nothing is really cast in stone.
Fair enough.
Things can change. And so I would always say this: patients should be more aware of themselves. Now, even if you are getting dismissed by someone, there are so many,
You should advocate for
there are so
yourself.
many people you can actually discuss with. Second opinions, third opinions.
Change
It's
location,
not just
basically.
it's not just one gynecologist around. It's not just one person that you can actually speak
I
to.
think you keep saying gynecologist, and I think that's an issue. I really feel I feel like a lot of even women don't know that they should be seeing a gynecologist, like a specialist.
They just go
a
to
lot of
the
people are
GP.
going to general practitioners for these things. And I feel like if you took a handful of, like, maybe the average Nigerian woman, a lot of them have never been to a gynecologist. They've been to doctors, but not a gynecologist. The first time I saw a gynecologist, trust me, it was different because she was actually speaking to the issue. Do you understand?
Yes.
We were talking about what was going on. It was, I felt like I was treated like a princess.
It was a town hall difference.
It was quite different. And I think the difference was in that she was a specialist. But a lot of people don't know that they should be seeing a specialist for problems. They're just going to, let's just go to hospital and see a regular doctor.
So again, I feel that there should be a paradigm shift, in the way we approach these things. And you see, we should change our approach, to our health. Gynecologists are women doctors. And there are some of them who specialize solely on women reproductive health.
Yeah.
They have a lot of subspecialties, So I feel that people should try and change their orientation. And now people would say, I don't want to spend so much money to see a consultant and things. And I always say this, it's all about priority.
Yeah.
You should prioritize these things. It's very, very important because some of these things that we talk about, there are things that could easily have been prevented. I actually have heard about one or two persons with polycystic ovarian syndrome, and then I think I know someone who already has 2 babies now. I think immediately she knew, she just got she got married, and then she had.
As if there's no man.
Of course, I understand. So the gynecologists are going to give you all the options. I know someone also who had, she had a late marriage, and as at the time she was going to get married, it was discovered that she had a fibroid, and the fibroid she had was located, was not going to affect the baby's implantation, and fibroids grow. So the doctors had to advise her and the husband, you people should do what you want to do on time. They have options. You want us to remove it now And then they were like, oh, okay, the woman was already in her 30s. There's already increasing advanced maternal age, and we don't want to continue to wait. So Dr. Walker, okay, the kind of fibroid you have, you went to a gynecologist, so will not affect your baby's chances of implantation. So, and then they did what they needed to do, and after they completed their family. So I think, well, that's not. I mean, it's very stressful for her. But then they did that. I think they had just 2 kids, and afterwards I think she removed the fibroids, or maybe I couldn't remember whether it was the fibroids she removed or she removed the womb. I don't remember. Then I knew she got attention, for it. So that's one of the benefits we actually get from actually seeing again. You would save yourself a lot of time than going to places where you will not get the right kind of help. You would have wasted a lot of time, and the more time you waste some of these things, the worse it gets.
We are going to take a break now. If you're listening, go and call all your sisters and your family members, because this gist is getting hotter. And your brothers, because by the time you marry and then you have, first-hand information on how to carry your wife along. So please, do not forget to like, subscribe, share, and follow SYNLAB Nigeria on YouTube and on Spotify. Stay right there. We'll be back. Hello and welcome back to the HealthWise Show. My name is Uchenna Amadi and I'm your host. I have been discussing menstrual issues in women's life with Dr. Olani Yoweye and Patsy Mokunga. Dr. Weye, you taught us, and now I am taught. But I want, based on the story we heard, what advice would you give to this lady? Because she lived in fear. She practically lived in fear that she won't be able to give birth if she continued. Like, in fact, it was almost as if, hurry up and marry, just marry and born before we can sort this out, this endometriosis thing. So,
and that puts you on a timeline.
Yeah. And you now go and settle with the wrong person because you want to, based on societal advice, you want to hit the targets or exceed expectation before. Exactly. Quick. So the first thing I want to ask is it a fact or a myth that pregnancy and endometriosis can't coexist? Let me frame it that way. And then what do you advise people in this situation to do?
Well, for me, it doesn't cause it's not an absolute cause of infertility. That's what I want to say, because you have people with PCOS who get pregnant. I think it's because of the hormonal imbalances involved.
What's PCOS?
Polycystic ovarian syndrome.
Okay.
So because of the hormonal imbalances involved in some of these conditions, that it
makes it
makes it like okay, there is I probably will use the word, maybe it reduces your chances or something like a subfertility or something.
But it's not cast in stone.
It's not an absolute, Okay. And then some of this advice that comes, my question basically would be, are these advice, are they coming from medical persons, or they're just coming from people within the society? I'm sure there are options. You understand, management of some of these medical conditions, and your gynecologist would give you like a range of options based on the presentation and also based on the extent, of the condition. So there will be options. So it's an absolute cause of infertility. There are people who have had either endometriosis or PCOS or even fibroids who have, gotten pregnant. So it depends on, and I always say medicine is a personal thing. It's an individualist. So you need to listen to your gynecologist advice, not what the society thinks about.
Thank you for mentioning gynecologists, because I feel like some women just go to see general practitioners most times.
General practitioners should be able to refer women to gynecologists. Do you understand? Because there's a reason why as a patient you're going to somebody for medical advice. If you knew what to do, you wouldn't be going to a professional. Do you understand? Because if you come and meet me as a lawyer, I should be able to direct you to the kind of lawyer that will solve your problem. I shouldn't expect you to know that for your problem, this is the lawyer that exists. You don't know. That's why you need that professional help. So I think that, we had touched on it previously, and we're like, women don't know they should go to gynecologists. And I feel like, you know what? It shouldn't be their job to know. It's your GP's job to tell you
To
go
refer you,
gynecologist.
actually.
And I don't feel like those referrals are happening enough. They're just telling you go with your pain and you will be fine.
So our take home now is more like a woman should actually seek. So even if your GP does not refer you, you could ask, right?
No,
You were there to
I
ask,
was going to
weren't you?
say, I was no.
No,
I was
that's
going
why
to-
you are in the
I was
GP's
going to,
office.
I was going to say this. Now, most GPs are actually trained. They are well trained to know the common symptoms, with these things, and then there is a level to which they can actually intervene and treat you. So it is actually when it gets to a certain level where, maybe after a scan and then they see, the extent of the disease or whatever the diagnosis shows on the scan, that sometimes would inform, that referral to see, a gynecologist. And of course, they are allowed to practice within, certain space, because they have also had some training they are general practitioners. So they have gone through, they have a bit of
Yeah,
everything. And they
baseline
can do,
knowledge.
do everything. So and then they have a threshold, at which you have to go see, a gynecologist. But whichever way it is, I would say the right word with every woman should try as much as possible to seek professional help. It could be through discussions. You could have, even if you're not going to get a direct referral from your GP in the hospital, understand, but at least try as much as possible to, get to see, professional help from anywhere, a second opinion on things, and things like that. So I would always say you are the owner of your own body, and then you should be able to control what happens. And I would not say that doctors don't dismiss, some of these issues at times. And some of these issues are challenges that have become a bit perennial, and they are not even only something that you see only in Nigeria, even sometimes and outside the country, because of the fact that increasingly you're beginning to have less number of doctors and practitioners and patients. So some of these things are things actually affecting, some of
Our
medical,
doctors are stretched.
exactly. So you have that too happening. But it's very important for every woman to always seek professional help for herself.
Yeah. So
Okay, so
Patsy, you've
help.
had an experience.
Yes, I was about to ask, when you say seek professional help, because when you seek professional help when there's a problem, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So what about when there's no problem? Because there are times when
Or when the problem seems like it's not existing.
yes, asymptomatic cases of, I don't know, I've not heard of asymptomatic cases of endometriosis, but PCOS, that exists, right? And you don't know that there's a problem. So what
Until you do a
happens?
scan.
So who just wakes up in the morning
And goes for a scan.
So that
I'm just going to go and
When
spend
we're
money.
saving for the rainy day, you wake up and say, today is for
This
scan.
Something has to take you there. What?
Exactly. These are some of the issues where we need to pay more attention to women's health. You understand? Exactly.
We need a paradigm shift.
Yeah, exactly. We need
Maybe
to pay
we've
more-
gotten to
So
that time
now-
where you just wake up
so
and actually go for
Go
that
for
scan.
tests.
Yeah.
We have tests in SYNLAB right
Yes,
now.
now
We have
wellness
Luna.
now. And then there is Luna.
We have Luna test
talk
that
about
is
Luna.
focusing on women right
Yes.
now. But women don't know that. Because you don't know that you're supposed to be checking for these things. It's just like in the last 3-4 years, I feel like PCOS is gaining traction as a public topic, and people are talking about it. Endometriosis has not even come up like that yet.
Yeah.
It's still on the fringes. So for years, women have lived with these things. In fact, we still even treat fibroid like an outlier. Do you understand?
Yeah.
And so many people are having fibroids. Even young women nowadays are having fibroids. There are a lot of myths around it. Like people feel like when I was younger, I grew up with the idea that fibroid was, due to, people have the idea that fibroid is due to maybe a woman that's had several abortions. Then at some point, I was told fibroid is for older women. Like if the story I was told was that if, let's say you are at an age where you should be at a reproductive age, and your womb wants a baby and there's no baby, it will create fibroids. I'm telling you, this was what I was told.
As per
That
magic
it
now.
will create fibroids to
occupy
the space, and that's why it is for older
Because the
women.
womb has been
So
lying
you can
fallow.
imagine me growing up to find out that, okay, well, younger women now have fibroids. Do you get?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of mysticism around it, so to speak. And then the issue of infertility, that these things bring up the risk of infertility. You don't want to hear that you have PCOS or endometriosis or fibroids, and then you are unmarried, because who now wants to marry you when it's like, do you understand? There's now, on top of everything, on top of the pain, on top of the bleeding, on top of all the symptoms that you'll find in your circle, you now have to deal with fear and possible stigma, right? So it's a lot. So where do women go from here?
I think this testing should be part of routine testing that a woman should do. You know, the moment she becomes pubertal, the moment she becomes, she gets to a reproductive age. These are things I believe you should be part of, just like we are now adopting HPV testing.
Pubertal, are you talking about 13?
I was
when
like,
she gets
that
to
wow.
she gets no. The reason
Because in my mind, I'm like, okay, 18 and above now.
The
You
reason
said
went to 18,
pubertal.
no.
No.
Like 20s,
I'm
like
actually
25.
the reason why I'm actually saying these things is now
Wow.
when you see that, like for example, like fibroid, it's basically being fed by estrogen, which is the feminine hormone, basically, and that's why there's a saying that would say if the womb does not carry pregnancy, it's going to carry fibroid, because the estrogen that actually allows the woman's womb to grow properly, that controls menstruation and all that is also what feeds, the growth of fibroids. Because I mean, it's not all cases of fibroids that probably would do surgery. There are some that you have to give, medications that actually block the effect of, estrogens and all that. So now the way to go about it is for women, and a lot of parents are listening, to actually make it a habit to do some routine testings for themselves, especially for women in their 20s. Of course, it might not be as early as 13, but by the time you're actually hitting your 20s, I mean, if you do a scan once a year, and then, a lot of people don't know a whole lot of things until they get married and then they are looking for babies.
Truly.
And then they begin to see a lot of things pop up. I have hyperprolactinemia, I have this, I have that, things like that. So we should normalize the habit of knowing about ourselves. In fact, just a digression. Someone was telling me a while back that in some like churches now, to bring out that, they would even require you to do your fertility testing before.
Wow.
you understand?
So they moved from blood group and genotype and infective.
Somebody was telling me that maybe they were debating it in their church or something, because they found out that people enter marriages and then they find out that you're marrying someone that is not very fertile.
Be fruitful and multiply.
No, this is just
by force.
This is just by. So what I just want to bring out of it is, I think we should actually normalize that once a woman reaches, once you are hitting your 20s, you should know about these things. Your fertility profile. Do a scan, even if it's once in 3 years.
So you're saying that lady now should, as in any lady out there, should actually take their health in their hands.
Exactly.
Go for regular checkups.
I think
you don't
we're
have to wait for a doctor to, just go by yourself.
Yes.
Okay.
I think we're seeing a shift in healthcare from being, a problem-solving issue to being preventive.
Exactly.
I think that's the thing. We need to have a mindset shift.
Because I think we're reactive.
Yeah,
we're very reactive.
Yeah.
We need to go into a lot of preventive healthcare where it's
a typical Nigerian actually does not walk into the hospital. They like being carried into the hospital.
Because we see the
When the
hospital
things are
as
now-
a place you go to when you have a problem.
That's
not a place that cares for you to make sure you don't get a problem.
Patsy, let me just pause you for a bit. You mentioned SYNLAB Luna. Let me talk to my women out there.
Tell them.
Please come closer. You see this SYNLAB Luna? Go to any branch of SYNLAB Nigeria and run that test. It covers the specific ranges, age ranges of women. So long as from reproductive to menopausal to perimenopausal, even to the golden age, go and order for that test, because it is very, very important.
It's a very comprehensive profile.
Yes.
Very comprehensive.
For hormonals and the rest of them. Patsy, any last words?
Well, I just think, like they said, we need to take our health into our hands.
As an average hustling Nigerian.
The truth is, we were having this discussion off before we got into recording, the fact that we say that things are expensive, right?
Yeah.
And Dr. Weir was saying that you check the average person's phone, and a lot of us are using expensive phones, phones that cost hundreds of thousands, possibly millions, and then they'll tell you go and do lunar test, and you're like, it's too
expensive.
much. But the truth is, if you find yourself in a situation where you have to have an
You will
emergency
spend them.
operation,
You
or
will
you're
spend
looking
that
for a
money.
child, you spend that
Yeah,
money,
you
right?
spend
So
it.
being proactive about your health care,
Invest in your
and,
health
you know,
is
the
more
same thing.
like
He
it.
has talked about the fact that you need to be an advocate for yourself.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of women have gotten to the end of their problems by, you know, fighting, insisting that something is wrong. Take a look at me. You know, go to another doctor until it seems like while it should be like, oh, I shouldn't have to do that. If you find your situation in a place where you have to do it, and know your own body, know how your system works. You know, like you said, just watch yourself as a woman. Look at yourself and know yourself, so that when things are off.
I mean it.
Now, I actually wanted to add this to it too. Recently, I heard the story of this popular tennis superstar, Venus Williams. She had a myomectomy last year, and then she'd struggled with anemia since 2007.
That's a long time.
And not until maybe like 2 years prior to that time, she got to know she actually had fibroids. You know, and then she had to go through myomectomy last, and then she was off, you know, for like a year. So it's very, very important. And then I think for her, when I read her story, it was just she kept insisting that because she has Sjogren's syndrome, so they thought, okay, you will have it's like an autoimmune disease where everybody attacks the glands, salivary glands, and what have you. So they actually thought it was because of that.
But you know, this makes it, it makes it very general.
And then she also had bleeding.
If somebody like her could go through this, then what's the average woman?
And then she also had bleeding. She said she would do a lot of pads sometimes, and it affected her career because we watch her career. There was nosediving. So, but then she just kept insisting, and then she knew what she was going through, and then until eventually she got that diagnosis. So the take-home point there is you should be an advocate of your own health, just as we said. So just keep at it.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ware. Thank you, Patsy. People have brought the vibes and the table shaking and we're enlightened. To my listener out there, as a woman, please take charge of your health. If you need to see the doctor, go to the doctor. Please do not be like the average Nigerian that just goes into the hospital when something is wrong. For those tests that we've mentioned, the SYNLAB lunar test, they are available for all women of productive age and beyond, to know what is actually happening in their lives. Please have a gynecologist. Or if some people don't even go to the doctor, that's the problem. Start with GP. Start with and don't use ChatGPT, please. Don't bring us back here. Please do not forget to like, subscribe, share, and follow SYNLAB Nigeria on YouTube and on Spotify. You can follow SYNLAB Nigeria also across all social media platforms. We have come to the end of this episode of the HealthWise Show. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.